So that's all the basic stuff. That's all the boring stuff. Hopefully somebody got something from that. Now we'll talk a little bit about what life as a lighting designer is like. So this is me at 42nd Street. I like to describe being a lighting designer as equal parts all of these various things. So I have a team that I work with on a lot of shows and things like that, but when it comes down to like the actual business of my work, I'm basically running my own company from the top down. I'm the worker. I'm the workers. I'm also the social media person. I'm the marketing person. I'm the CEO of the company. I'm doing accounting. I'm the accounts receivable person, which I don't like to be, especially right now. I'm also my own travel agent, electrician. All these various things all kind of go together to form my career. I've got a lot of experience in a lot of these different things just because of the necessity to do it for myself. So for those of you, I know a lot of people in this class right now are in college, they're in high school. If you are, and you're trying to spend some time right now learning other skills, I highly recommend you start learning some of this other stuff. Learn web design, learn how to put together a website in WordPress, learn all these different things, because the more you can do for yourself, the more of that income you can keep. It's a good way to look at it. And then on top of that, I'm also kind of, like I said, it's in there, human resources director. So, again, I deal with a lot of people on a day-to-day basis, people who are working for me, people who are working with me. We all work in theater. We all have a lot of big opinions, a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings. So kind of navigating that from time to time is also an important part of the job. It's great. I took these pictures last fall in one of my busy periods. But organization is kind of the most important thing for me. So a lot of you have seen my paperwork, you've seen my paperwork process, my programs and stuff like that, and you know that organization is very important to me. I couldn't live without Google Calendar. Pretty much anything that happens in my life is in Google Calendar. Even if it's like the next day, if I went and did something, I'll go back and add it again. And that might be because I watch a lot of Law and Order, and so I know that I need to know where I was 4 weeks ago on whatever day. But it also helps me just kind of keep track of what I'm doing and when. I also have little notebooks that I carry around. I've tried to do digital note taking and stuff like that, and I just don't like it as much as physically writing to-do lists. I fly a lot, not right now. All my flights for the spring have been canceled, but I fly a lot. And then again, I do all my own accounting and all my invoicing and stuff like that. So a lot of these things that are on this slide, you can see I wrote a blog a month or two ago, kind of with all of my workflow stuff in it. And if you check out my website, mikewoodld.com/blog, I think it's the most recent post, actually. You'll see I talk about how I use Dropbox, how I use Google Drive, how I use Calendar, all of these various pieces of software to run my business and to work as a freelancer. So definitely go check that out. In addition to all of those things, I am also a member of United Scenic Artists, which is the union that represents scenic artists, lighting designers, sound designers, costume designers, projection designers, scenic designers, all over the country. We are a local of IATSE, the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. Think of it kind of like, if you're an IA member, typically you have a home local. So again, I'm from Tampa. So if I was to join the local in Tampa, I would be a member of IA 321, or Atlanta or New York is local 1. Everybody has their own local. 829 is the local number for our local for the whole country, if that makes sense. So our jurisdiction is throughout the entire country, so I can work anywhere. And there's offices in DC and in Chicago and in LA and in New York, but it's kind of one organization as a whole. So what that means for me is I get my health insurance that way. I'm able to contribute towards a pension that way. I have collectively bargained agreements that I use for my shows. And I also have certain protections for my intellectual property rights. So a lot of these things, yeah, you can do without being a member of the union. And I'm a huge union advocate, especially in our industry. Not necessarily it's not for everybody, I recognize that. But it's been a godsend for me, especially kind of being in between teaching jobs here and there. I've always saw myself as a designer, as a theatrical person first, and then as an educator second. So even when I've had full-time teaching jobs, I've still maintained that design career. And actually, it was when I left my very first long-term teaching job that I finally decided it was time to join, because I needed to figure out a way to get health insurance. So the way that that works on a contract basis is, let's say I make $10 on a show, right? Nice even number. It's $10. That's my fee, is $10. The producer is going to pay me that full $10. And then additionally, the producer is going to pay 90 cents towards the union for my pension fund, and $1.30 or 13% towards the union for my health insurance. And every quarter, all those things get added up. And as long as I have enough money in my health insurance account, I get my health insurance for the quarter. If I don't have enough, then I would then have to make up the difference in that. Eventually, I then would pay quarterly 2% of all of my contracts as dues to the union. I'll tell you one thing right now has been really great, is having all of these union contracts in place, because with all the cancellations that are happening, I feel very fortunate in the moment that a lot of my contracts are protected, and I have there's cancellation clauses in there, and I'm still making at least some money off of them. So the scarier part is in a couple months when the new work isn't coming in, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So that's my little USA spiel. Highly recommend looking into it. There's for those of you who are younger, which is I think most of the demographic of this class, there'll be a time where it makes sense for you to join. And that time is not always right out of school. Very rarely should it be right out of school. But message me if you have more questions about that. Okay.